Hey guys, 22 Plinkster here. There is a reason why I have this stupid grin on my face. I want to introduce you guys to a firearm that is relatively new to the market. Well, actually, to the time of making this video, it's brand new. This is the Ruger Mark IV. Yes, you heard me right, the Mark IV. Ruger hasn't introduced a new series of Mark pistols since 2005. This particular model is the Hunter model that I have in my hand. I've got the Target model, which I'm going to show you a little bit later in this video. But before I go over what makes this pistol so awesome and what's set apart from the Mark 1s, 2s, and 3s, I want to shoot it a few times. Now I'm going to be running just some regular Federal 36 grain Champion bulk ammo through this. So, all right, I can hit that. That's good. All right. Let's go for that guy. That's the problem with my range sometimes. I have too many targets out here that I don't know which one to pick. So, all right, let's go with the Dolan tree. Well, I didn't clear that Dolan tree very well. See if I can do a little bit better. Now I've got lots of magazines today. All right, a little bit better, a little bit better. All right, let's do a little bit of accuracy test with it. Let's go across the creek. Now I have had, I think, 2 cups of coffee this morning, so I am a little shaky. I'm going ahead and make excuses now. These are 6-inch plates at 50 yards. Whew. All right, well, hey, shoot, now I'm feeling froggy. Let me see if I can hit that 3-inch plate. Don't know if I can or not, but let's give it a try. Oh, I hit it. All right. Good stuff, good stuff. All right, let me go over a few features that set the Mark IV apart from the Mark III. I want to ask you guys a question. What is the #1 complaint from the Mark I, II, and III? If you haven't already said taking it apart and putting it back together again, you've never owned a Mark I, II, or III. That's the big reason why people shy away from the Mark series of pistols, just because they are a bear to take apart, clean, and put back together again. Ruger has heard the cry. The design of the Mark series of pistols have been around since 1949, and not a lot has changed with the design. There's been a few modifications. I guess the biggest changes were between the Mark II and the Mark III, but the Mark IV, it is so much better than the Mark III. And let me show you why. This pistol is unloaded, and you know, before you had the takedown lever that you had to pull out and hold your mouth a certain way, turn it upside down, dry fire. Yes, you know what I'm talking about if you've ever owned it, a Mark I, II, or III. The Mark IV, so much more simple. Pistol's unloaded, the firearm is on safe. You see this little button right here in the back, okay? Simply press it, you're done. That's it. That's how it breaks apart, for you to clean it. Finally, they simplified it. It's as easy as pushing a button. So to put it back together, you simply put the bolt back in and it breaks open just like a break open shotgun. You see that little groove? I don't know if I get my camera to focus on the barrel. All right, that's what this little hinge right here in the front, you simply put that down in there in the hinge, put that, and you're put back together. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Not only did they simplify the disassembly and the assembly of this pistol, they also did some really, really good modifications to it. The bottom grip, the lower is what we're going to call it in this video, the piece that goes all the way around here on both sides, it is all one-piece CNC machine. So it's different from the 1, 2s, and 3s, but it's all one piece now. This is stainless. Now the Target pistol, which I'm fixing to show you here in a minute, it is aluminum, but it is all one piece. Another great thing that they did is they got rid of the button safety on the side, and they went with the lever, but guess what? It's ambi. So you lefties, you're welcome. So you got the safety that is very easy to manipulate on the side of the firearm. Also, you can see the slide release right here, okay? The slide release is put back instead of using the button like they did in the Mark III style pistols. They kind of went back to like the Mark II style. So you had the lever on the side. That is a plus in my book. You can slingshot this pistol. If you don't know what slingshotting means, is once you have a loaded magazine and the action is back, you can simply just pull it back and let go. It will slingshot. It's a great pistol. Now, let me show you the target model. This is the Mark IV target model. Now, this is their entry level pistol, okay? The pistol that I showed you before, the Mark IV Hunter, that is their upper end. This is their entry level, okay? The big difference is instead of steel, they're using the aluminum one-piece lower grip down here. The grip panels are plastic and it is blued. This particular model has a 5.5-inch bull barrel with target sights. Both the sights on the Mark IV Hunter and the Mark IV Target are fully adjustable. Let me shoot it a few times and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. Whew. All right, let's go with these plates here. All right, that shaving cream needs to go. There we go. It is a really good shooter. The trigger in the Mark IVs are a whole lot more consistent than the Mark IIIs. Both of these pistols have about a 4-pound trigger. It is a little heavy in my opinion. It is not a, I guess, a match trigger that I'm accustomed to, but it is very clean braking. So it does make for getting off a shot very easy. So, all right, let's go here to the Doolin tree. Shaving cream, all right. There you go. All right, let's go across the creek and see if I can hit those plates. Got to get a good trigger break. Nice, nice, nice. All right, now that I've told you a few things about these pistols, let me take it over here to the table and we're going to go through even more of the differences between 1, 2s, 3s, and now the Mark IVs. All right, now that I have them all on the table here, let me go over a few things about the Mark series of pistols while I have them out here, but just show you guys the differences from, you know, where they started and where they are now. Now right here, first and foremost is the Mark I, okay? You may guys have seen my review on this particular pistol. It's several years old, but the pistol was, I think, manufactured, and I could be wrong, around the late 1950s. So this is what kind of started it all for Ruger, you know, around 1949 or so. Later came the Mark II. Now, in my opinion, this is one of the best factory-made target pistols straight out of the box ever created. This is the Mark II. And if you recall, this is the pistol that actually started it all for me. This is what I made my first YouTube video with, where I hit a golf ball at 100 yards with it. So the pistol is highly, highly accurate. Now after the Mark II, well, the difference is between the Mark I and the Mark II, I guess the big difference is the slide release. You know, the Mark II had a slide release right here, adopted. So, and the Mark I's do not have it. And of course, there's other changes, you know, such as, you know, I mentioned the slide release and also drilled and tapped on the top, that where actually it will you can mount a rail for a scope or a red dot. So those are the two big differences. The trigger is much better in the Mark II than the Mark I. You didn't really start seeing a lot of difference between these handguns till the Mark III, okay? And with the Mark III, it's, you know, to a lot of people, it was a love-hate relationship. They loved the ergonomics of it, but they didn't like, you know, the trigger. They didn't like sometimes the reliability. And so, but you know, there's a lot of companies that made aftermarket parts for the Mark III. And you know, the differences, you know, the big differences between the 2 and the 3, of course, they went with a button style magazine release, not magazine release, excuse me, slide release. Instead of the European style mag release on the bottom on the Mark IIs and Mark Is, they went with a push button mag release. That's where actually John Moses Browning actually wanted it to be. So they put the push button mag release on the side here. So that was the big difference in, you know, low chamber indicator that I mentioned. The grip, you know, this is a polymer grip. Some of the Mark IIIs have a aluminum grip or a stainless steel grip. But the big thing that sets this pistol apart is, you know, between the Mark III and the Mark IV is the assembly and disassembly. And if you've never ever taken one of these things apart, I'm about to show you how difficult it can be. Well, this is a Mark III, so you've got to do the, you've got to insert the magazine or it will not work. Let me just start all over. See what I'm talking about? So you got to dry fire it before you do anything. Now remember on my, then you got to take out the magazine. So there's a lot of steps, and you can see how frustrating it can be to a lot of people, including myself sometimes. You know, I think you got to hold it upside down and do the hokey pokey, and you know, it's just a lot of times you have to have a wooden, see, I can't even get this out. I'm gonna have to get a wooden mallet or something to pry that out, you know, beat it out there with. But that's why people didn't like the Mark IIIs and also the Mark II and Mark Is. It's not that they weren't reliable, it's not that they weren't accurate, it's just that they were a pain to take apart and put back together again. So, and it's even more difficult to put back together than it is to take apart. Now, of course, the Mark IV, you don't have that problem. And so, you know, the Mark III, they did away with the loaded chamber indicator that I mentioned. That caused some problems with reliability. They did away with, you know, the slide release, the button style slide release. They went back to like the old Mark II slide release. And they went with a one-piece CNC machined grip lower. And also, of course, this is so much easier to take apart and put back together. It's not even funny. I think Ruger hit a home run with this design. I know they've been working on this design for several years, but it's easy peasy, 1, 2, 3. So that's basically the differences. Now, the internal, if I could get that, you know, barrel off, I'd show you, but internally, the trigger mechanism and everything inside of here is different than the Mark III. So if you have a Mark III trigger, you cannot put it in a Mark IV. It will not work. Now, there's only a matter of time till someone comes out with a Mark IV trigger. The trigger is much better than the Mark III. There's no grit. It's a very smooth trigger. It's got a little bit of travel in it, but it does break clean. But in my opinion, it's a little heavy. It's around the 4-pound mark, maybe 4 1/4. But you know, it's shootable. It's much better, much better than the Mark III. So let me get this camera turned around. I will shoot it a little bit more and give you my final thoughts on the Ruger Mark IV. Another feature that I failed to mention, a lot of people cannot compete with a bare bone Mark III pistol for one reason and one reason only. Okay, here's the Mark III. Watch this. You see the magazine? It will not drop freely, okay? There's no spring assist in here whatsoever. That is not good, okay? That's one thing I don't like about my Mark IIIs. It will not release, okay? So if you're shooting competition, you go to drop a magazine, you actually have to pull it out and put another one in. You just can't drop freely. However, this is the new Mark IV. Watch this. The pistol is sideways. It shoots it out. It does have a spring in there to kick these magazines out. So if you are shooting competition really fast, you want to drop it out, you are good to go. So that is a really good feature of the Mark IV compared to the Mark III. All right, eyes and ears on. Let's shoot it a few more times. I don't know if I mentioned it in the beginning of the video or not, but if you have a Mark III and you do decide to go with the Mark IV, The rail is interchangeable, the top rail. It's the same rail that fits on a Mark II or III. And they take regular Mark III magazines. They did not change the magazine. No need to change that because they're great magazines. All right, let's see here. All right, one more magazine. What can I go after here? All right, see if I can go across the creek one last time. There we go on the last shot, so you can't leave on a miss. Well, my final thoughts on the Ruger Mark IV. I'm happy to see it, and I am thankful that Ruger sent me these, that I can get really the first look on both models. I think they're going to sell a lot of them, to tell you the truth. You know, everything between the slide release, you know, the spring assisted magazine release, and most important, the ease of taking it down and putting it back together. They simplified it, which I didn't think I'd ever see that day, but they did it and they have perfected it. I've put over, at this point, close to 2,000 rounds through both of these pistols. And, you know, for the most part, they have ran flawless. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, y'all be safe and keep blinking.